This time on LMLive Sport, the Welsford Premiers will look to recoup after their 22-17 loss to Carmo on Saturday and try and chase down their local rivals in Odomatia and Waipu. The Warkworth senior women's football team will try and get out of their three-game slump and resurrect their place in their competition. And last of all, the OFC Nations Cup coming up in Papua New Guinea. We speak to All Whites goalkeeper coach Paul Gothard and get his comments. That coming up next on LMLive Sport. Welcome. The Mahirangi Premiers will face off this Saturday at 2:45 p.m. at the Warkworth Showgrounds against East Coast Bay's Premiers. They'll try and regather after their local derby clash lost to Silverdale last weekend. That was 33-17 in the end, and if they can grab a win this season, there's a chance they could move above the Western Pioneers if they lose their game. Also in the Bailey Southern Northern Districts competition, Welsford will look to regroup and overtake their rivals in Odomatia and Waipu if they can beat their opposition Mid-Northern. That's an away game this weekend with a 2:15 p.m. kickoff after their 22-17 loss to Carmo last weekend. Also, if you're around town, do make sure you get along and watch the Mahirangi under-21s. They play North Shore at 1 p.m. at the Warkworth Showgrounds. Also, the Welsford Reserves will travel with their premier partners to play Mid-Northern. That's, of course, an away game as well, and that's a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. To football, the senior women will look to come out of a three-game slump. They're currently 6 out of 10 teams on their standing, so they'll look to move up towards that kind of top 4 area. They play Glenfield Women's. That's at Shoesmith Domain, so a home game. It is on a Sunday, so make sure you don't turn up on the Saturday for that one, and that's a 10:45 a.m. kickoff. Also in football there, you've got the men's reserves. They're currently 9th out of 12 teams. They'll look to move up to mid-table with a game against Clendon United Reserves. That's a 12:15 p.m. kickoff, and that's an away game at Mount Fort Park. Also travelling, as you can see there in football, Warkworth men's to play Clendon United, also at Mountford Park, 2:45 p.m. kickoff for that one, and the over 35s against West Auckland, and that's a home game at Shoesmith Domain on the Saturday, 2:45 p.m. kickoff against West Auckland for them. In rugby league, the Rodney Rams will look to grab their first win of the season still after a default last weekend. They'll play Mangere East. That's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff, and make sure you get down to that one to support them because it is at the Whangatiao Domain. And to Rodney Netball, that's at Centennial Park on a Friday night, and this Friday it'll start as usual at 6 p.m. with Rodney Social playing Rodney 3 on Court 1. Round 2 will start at 7 p.m. as per usual, Mahirangi X2 versus Rodney 2 for that one on Court 1. And round 3 starting with a game on Court 2, that's Rurai Jets 2 versus Warkworth 1, and that's an 8 p.m. start for them. Also in round 1, as you can see, we've got Odomatia 1, they play Odomatia X2 in a club clash, that's on Court 2. Rodney Rams 2 against Kuiper Flats 4, that's on Court 4. And in round 2 at 7 p.m, the Rodney Rams 1 will play Kuiper Flats 3, and that's on Court 3. And lastly, the All Whites have travelled off to Papua New Guinea for the OFC Nations Cup. They play their first game for that against Fiji on May 28. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff New Zealand time. We caught up with their goalkeeper coach, Paul Gothard, before he left for the tournament for a few words. So Paul, you've got the OFC Nations Cup coming up soon. Do you feel any extra pressure going in as the top-ranked team?
There's always a pressure of being the top. Right? It's nice going into a game, sometimes, as you said, to be an underdog. So let's do what we can do. But it will be a pressure. But you know, every time you play, there's a pressure. So it's better to be a pressure of being the best than the weakest.
And do you think other OFC teams have closed the gap in recent years?
Yeah, I do. Very physical, very competitive. Very technically good, and their game understanding is getting better now as the coaches are getting better over there.
That's all for this time on LMLive Sport. If you do happen to get along to any of the games this weekend, which I hope you will, and take any photos or video footage of the teams playing, please make sure you send them in to my email address. That's sport@localmatters.co.nz. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you'll get updates weekly every time we put a new video up. That's on Tuesdays and Thursdays before 4 p.m. Anyway, from me and the team at LMLive Sport, until next time, goodbye.